have been of long standing in our society. The remedy of affirmative action is a novel one. The University of California, when it presented an affirmative action plan, proposed to make about half a dozen women and blacks full professors in about 20 years, as I recall the program.
There were various fractions of people who would have become things in various periods of time.
Various what?
Various fractions. They would add 3.5 more women and things like that. And I was always fascinated. I had some suggestions of the people I thought would be right for the 0.5, but these suggestions were not well received. No, but it's fascinating that I see this happening in all sorts of issues, from Federal Reserve policies on across the board, that you say, here's this wonderful program, and it will do wonderful things, and the burden of proof is on others to show that it will not do those things. And no matter how long it's been going on,
it's not long enough.
It's never long enough. If it failed, there just wasn't enough commitment. The budget wasn't big enough, should have had a larger staff, wider powers, but there is never any sense of a burden of proof on you to say, when you've made this change that has caused such furor in this country and has gotten people at each other's throats, including people who have been allies in the past, such as blacks and the Jews, there is never any sense of a need for you to advance the empirical evidence to support what you've been doing.
What's going on, everyone? Talks with Kenny here today, and it finally happened. I've been speaking out against affirmative action and how I always claim that affirmative action creates more racial division, because at the end of the day, any standard that base something on immutable traits is a wrong for me. I'm sorry. I'm very anti-identity politics, if you guys haven't been seeing the video. So I played a little intro clip. I think that was a great synopsis by Thomas Sowell, explaining how it seems like when these people, and this is something I see commonly with liberals, because liberals are very good at critiquing something, but they're not very good at defending stumps, the things that they push for, right? Because a lot of their thinking is based on what things should be instead of what things are. Right. And this is the kind of the problem that conservatives have with affirmative action, is that, hey, you're discriminating against people just because of their skin color. Asians are more qualified to be in college at a disproportional rate compared to blacks. That's fair. But people will say, no, that's not fair, Kenny. That's not an equal outcome. Well, equal outcome is a pipe dream. That's just my take. If you think it's attainable, hey, good luck with that. But what Thomas Sowell explained there in the intro of the video is exactly why the Supreme Court issued a ruling against affirmative action at universities, right? And I already make this point before, but universities don't make you any more or less better than where you came from. Like, universities filter for the smartest and brightest students. So if you're smart and bright, whether you went to college or not, I believe you would have been successful still in life. That's just my take. So I think if you were like dumb as a pair of rocks and you made it to university is not going to magically transform you into this super smart, articulate person. No, I think you already came with some of that potential already, and college is supposed to help you fulfill that potential, right? So I don't understand why we need affirmative action for college in the first place. But hey, I digress. Let's get into the article. The Supreme Court ruled against Harvard and the University of North Carolina affirmative action policies in a decision that will have a profound effect on admission processes at universities across the country. The vote count is 6-3 that the race-based affirmative action, isn't this racism? Right? But I get a lot of flack. I did a video with, I think it was with Josh Hawley, where I was talking about how affirmative action is racism, and I got a lot of flack in the comment section, but I got a lot of support too, because a lot of people see this stuff. I'm against race-based criteria, period. Because at the end of the day, you can't control that. I couldn't control the fact that I was born. I didn't choose to be black. I was just born black. And for that, you're going to discriminate against me? Imagine if there was an affirmative action policy for the NBA or playing basketball. Oh, we need more diversity. We need more representation. You're a black person. You're only 12% of the population. How come you're 74%? The 74% representation in the NBA. We need more equity. We need more representation in the NBA. How you think black people gonna feel about that? They ain't gonna like it. But in other stuff, oh yeah, because it benefits us. End of the day, that a government can't run like that. Like I said, my stance is the government is the referee. If you make a call on the other end, you better make the same call on the other side, or else you're gonna hear it from the players. And this is the stance I take for government. Government is a referee. A government is supposed to uphold law and order in the society and make sure everyone of that society is under the same rule of law. And these programs have to operate the same way, because this is going to cause racial division in the country. like what Thomas Sowell was pointing out in before with the blacks and the Jews. And when Thomas Sowell brought up this point, I forgot when this debate happened. This debate happened in 1984. Imagine that. And now what? 40 years later, we just now get a ruling proving Thomas Sowell right. Like, yo, this stuff is discriminatory. This stuff, and here's a clip. I'm gonna show you guys a clip how Thomas Sowell pretty much said, "Hey, this doesn't do anything for the people it claims to be helping." Let's take a look at the clip, and I'll get back to the article.
I'm willing to agree with you on that.
But
Gentlemen, we have 1 minute.
the major piece of empirical evidence that I think you've cited this hour has really been the contrast between the 60s and the 70s.
No, it's been the contrast between
suggested
well-off people and badly off people. And that's true in other countries as well, that in Malaysia, where they've had affirmative action for the same amount of time, it's had the same results. It has done nothing for the poor Malays. The lowest level of Malays receive a smaller percentage of all the income received by Malays today than before this program was put into effect, as is true of blacks in the United States.
Is it worthless to do something for anybody but the very poor?
I would like to see the well-off take care of themselves. If they can't, who can?
Hey, you see, now you heard that. So he eloquently done. He said, hey, look, there was no difference. And they only seem to help the richest of the top 1% of each group, right? Oh, if I'm a wealthy black person, I came from a good parent household, I don't suffer from poverty, I'm more likely to benefit from affirmative action than a poor black person benefits from affirmative action, right? Black people had to get into more student loan debt. Is that a race issue or is that a family issue? That's a family issue, because if I come from a wealthy family and this other black person comes from a poor family, I'm better equipped to take advantage of affirmative action. And that's the point Thomas Sowell was making there, right? I'm just saying, like, affirmative action doesn't help a lot of black people as they think it does. To me, it causes more harm than good, right? You're setting up this black person for failure, right? Statistically, people who get in through affirmative action have higher dropout rates than someone who didn't. Like if you could put me, if I qualify for a school on my own merits without affirmative action, I'm more likely to graduate from that school than if you put me in a higher tier school. Like, let's say you Harvard said, oh, here, Ken, you're our affirmative action hire or admissions person. I go in, I won't be able to keep up with the work in Howard University, and I'm gonna have more student loan debt, and I'm gonna drop out. Imagine that. I have a higher student loan debt payment, and I dropped out of the school because I couldn't keep up with the work, because on my own merits, I would have never made it to Harvard. But because of the affirmative action admissions, I was allowed to get in because I was good enough. I barely inked in. When no, you need to be well and above and equipped. When I took a spot for somebody who was more qualified than me, who could have actually graduated from Harvard. But, you know, my representation. And this is the problem I have with affirmative action in general, is that the criteria isn't about helping somebody. It's to virtue signal. It's for the university to say, oh, look at us. On paper, we're so good. We're doing so much good for the community. But the devil's in the details. If you look at the details of it, damn, you have higher black dropout rates in Harvard than compared to another school that doesn't practice affirmative action. Why is that? Are you more racist, Harvard, because you're dropping out black kids more than the other universities that don't practice affirmative action? And that's the point of the mismatch theory. Right. And a lot of people try to debunk the mismatch theory, saying, oh, it's not empirically sound. But if you look at it from a historical point of view, right, 1980s, the 1970s, the 1960s, bro, sorry, I almost died. We have enough time to look at and evaluate these policies. And they don't even do the outcome that they intend to do. Right. If you have the evidence, show me in the comment section. Point me in the right direction. But as of now, I agree wholeheartedly and completely with the ruling that the Supreme Court just ruled against affirmative action. All right. So this is all the justices who voted with and against. Eliminating racial discrimination means eliminating all of it. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote for the majority. Agreed. Society has to judge all its citizens, all Americans, by one standard. It can't have one selective standards for this person because of this. The minute you add qualifiers, the minute you add exceptions, people are going to be like, oh, I want an exception. Oh, you have African American history. Oh, what about Hispanic American history? Why you don't have Asian American history, right? People are going to start asking for equality because at the end of the day, you have to give the people what they want. Because if you let one person do it, okay, how come he's allowed to do it, but I'm not allowed to do it? How come he's allowed to have that, but I'm not allowed to have that? You're going to cause division in the country. And this is my main point of why we should get rid of race referencing in all our society, specifically for the federal government. Anything that's taking taxpayer money should not have anything that's referencing race. Because the point is not to, we're making this government group for these people, these specific people in America. No, that's racism. I'm just saying, just like when FDR excluded black people from his New Deal, that was racism. That shouldn't be allowed in the federal government. So why are we creating committees exclusively for one group of people, one race of people in America? It makes no sense to me. But I'm just a guy on the internet. The ruling resolves a pair of cases involving Harvard University and the University of North Carolina. A group called the Students for Fair Admissions sued the elite schools, accusing them of unfairly factoring race into their admissions process. You're allowing discrimination, minority on minority crime. You're not discriminating against white people, right? And this is why they call the Asian people the inconvenient minority for the Democratic Party, because Asians showed that, hey, minority groups can make it in America. Who's the richest people? Who's the richest race of people in America? Oh, it's not white people. Sorry. Nope. You got it wrong. Wrong. It's Asians. Asians are the richest people in America. Asian Americans, specifically Indians, because they work in tech. I work in tech. Hey, it's Indian. It's Indianville in there. But yo, the proof is in the results, right? It's behavior. Your race doesn't. This is why when people come to me and say, America's a racist country, my race is holding me back, I look at them and I'm like, I don't believe you, because a minority group is the richest people in America. Asians are more likely to get a bank loan than a white person. How is that so? If the country was built on white supremacy and all this nonsense, all this imaginary problems, right? They want you to suffer from imagination and say, these are big problems. How is this minority group making it? The only answers I can come to is behavior, habits, abilities, right? Just like if I ask why most of the NBA is black people, why is 74% black? You're gonna tell me the same thing. Habits, behaviors, advantages. We have a big physical advantage and we leverage it to get our outcomes. Okay. Same instances here in the admissions process, right? The groups pointed to the high test scores of Asian and white applicants who were rejected. Imagine. So let's say there's only 50 spots. For representation, black people have to get at least 5 spots. But then you exclude 5 Asian Americans or white applicants that had a higher score than I did, but because I make the racial quota, they'll let me in and reject you because you wasn't at the top of your group. This is why it's unfair. Meritocracy. We should be a country focused on meritocracy. No inclusive meritocracy, none of that garbage. No. Identity politics is racist. I'm sorry. And it only means it's to divide people. That's it. That's my stance. But hey, let me know your thoughts. Correct? Do you agree with the Supreme Court finally banning affirmative action for college? Yes or no? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.